In my last post, I said that at the age of 16, I believe I discovered the key to the universe. Now, there's a story that goes with this momentous discovery, a story that began a year earlier, when I was 15, sunbathing on the beach at Bexhill-on-Sea in Sussex, where we were living at the time. And I noticed a girl was looking at me, so I went across to her and started to chat. And she said to me, "Looking at you," she said, "reminds me of an Oxfam advert." Well, you can imagine what that did to my self-confidence. So I went off and enrolled onto a Charles Atlas course. And I was into it for a couple of months when my mother and my younger sister Mary opened up one of the packets and began to tease me mercilessly when they realized I was doing Charles Atlas course. And of course, I became so embarrassed, I gave up. But a year later, when I was 16, I was out jogging with a couple of friends, one Joseph Herring and the other Chris Gay. And I turned to Joseph and I said, "Hey, Joe, do you know any way I could put on some muscle?" And Joe said, "Well, have you tried yoga?" Well, I knew nothing about yoga at that age. But Chris, who was a couple of paces ahead of us, turned round and said, "Oh," he said, "my dad's got a couple of books on yoga." So after we'd finished jogging, we went round to Chris Gay's house, and his father had an antiquarian library of books up in the attic. And we went up into the attic, and Chris pulled out these two very old books on yogic philosophy. The first one was called 14 Lessons in Yogic Philosophy, and the second was called An Advanced Course in Yogic Philosophy. Well, his father very kindly let me borrow the books, and I took them home and I read them from cover to cover. But I didn't find a single exercise in yoga. But what I did discover was a sentence that changed my life forever. It was a sentence that had momentous implications. And in this sentence, it said that the smallest particles of matter are vortices of energy. Now, as I said in my last post, I was introduced to nuclear physics at the age of 6, so I had 10 years of physics under my belt, and I realized the enormous importance of that statement. The book was published in January 1905, and Einstein's theories were published later on that same year. His equation E equals mc squared wasn't published until middle to late 1905. So the yogis had anticipated Albert Einstein, and I realized if the yogis knew that the smallest particles of matter are vortices of energy, then maybe their description of the vortex was correct. So I spent the next 50 years investigating to see whether or not subatomic particles were vortices of energy. So what I'm going to do is leave you there and sing a song that I wrote around about that same time called The Diamond of Truth, because really I discovered the Diamond of Truth. I found that the vortex of energy led me on through physics. I made momentous discoveries. I could explain things that scientists had been unable to explain about the nature of the universe. And it was this vortex idea that ultimately led me to the door of light. To the diamond of truth there are countless facets, few men can see more than one. Oh, the seeker of truth, he sees one such facet, not the diamond, he thinks it's the sun. But the light of each facet is different, each has its own tale to tell. But in essence, the light of the diamond through each facet is always equal. To the diamond of truth there are countless facets, countless facets, countless facets, countless facets, countless countless facets, countless facets, countless facets, countless facets, countless facets. Thank you for listening to me.